It's award season, and they are nominated for 6 CMAs for 2025, including Album of the Year for Nice Horse. Brandy and Katie have agreed to be my guests today.
Reluctantly.
Today's show is brought to you by NiceHorseMusic.com. Nice Horse. Fun, fresh, fierce, feisty, and they've established themselves as one of the most buzzed about and fast-rising groups in the Canadian music industry. And their album, Nice Horse, has been nominated for Album of the Year by Country Music Alberta.
Reluctantly.
So reluctantly, too, you know.
I know. It was like wrestling a steer trying to get the two of you on the show.
You're
Yeah,
a good
right.
steer wrestler, Terry.
It's great to see you both, and congratulations on all your nominations.
Thank
And
you.
it's been a while since we've seen each other face-to-face. Last time we saw each other face-to-face was at the gala for Clayton Bellamy's foundation out in Bonnyville. That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, Brandy, you had to leave early too, didn't you?
I did. I had to leave early because I had already had an engagement that I had to leave for, which is fine because then you didn't have to witness my golfing, which is terrible.
Well, no one witnessed mine either because I just didn't do it.
I saw you take a couple of swings there. You were one foursome behind us, Katie, and I saw you swinging. And what? Yeah,
Did they at the little putting? I think I kicked it, actually. I think I was like, is this how you do it? I got in trouble for being in trouble, or maybe they liked it as a future golf commentator because I know absolutely nothing about golf. And so at one point, somebody hit the ball and it went towards the trees. And I went, well, we're never going to see that ball again. And they were just like, oh my God, you're supposed to be here supporting us. And instead it was just like, never going to see that ball again, guys.
and that was because the group that you're with had actually bid on you to be a part of that to raise money for Clayton's foundation.
They did reluctantly, I think.
Well, you were having fun in the golf court with your golf cart companion anyway.
Yes, dear Trevor from Econoline Crush. He was great because he also doesn't golf, and we were just getting to know each other, and he was very funny, and we were the entertainment, as we should be.
Yes. Yeah, he's a terrific guy. It was cool. I had never really
Absolutely.
spent much time with other than, hi, how you doing, sort of before a show or after a show or whatever, too. So it was really cool to meet him.
He has possibly the most infectious laugh I have ever heard. I was like, if you could just be a laugh soundtrack permanently, that would also be a great gig.
The golf tournament, like doing those charity events, brings together, like, we haven't met Trevor from Econoline Crush yet. And we would have, being in the country scene, we don't always get to meet people from different genres. And there were people from different genres playing there, and not just musicians. Like, obviously, it was really great to be a part of that.
So fun. The gala was a hoot that night and raised a ton of money for the performing arts facility that they've got going up in Bonnyville. And
Which is great.
it's not going to be long before you two are performing there as well, right?
Yeah, we'll be there for Heartstrings and Honky Tonks. It's the second one. We did it last year in Camrose, and this year we'll be doing it there with, and we will be also reunited with our mom, Michelle Wright. She'll be there too. Yeah.
She is the sweetest.
She really is. So people listening, she just quickly kept referring to Brandy and Trevor and I as the kids. She kept just being like, and the kids, and the kids. And so we then started referring to her as our mom. And she was very happy to be our mom. I'm not sure why, and she ended up inviting us during the Canadian Country Music Awards to come and sing with her. She's like, I need my kids to sing with me. I need my kids to sing with me. And so she invited us to this party that she was performing at and asked us to sing, but we were a bit late and there was a massive lineup and we can hear the song starting. And so we're having to push past all these people in the lineup to get to the front. And we're like, we need to be on stage. And then we run in and Michelle, on stage, goes, my girls, get up here. It was like the grand entrance that we didn't mean to make.
Yeah.
But all that to say, yes, we will be playing with her Heartstrings and Honky Tonks in Bonnyville in May, and we're very excited for that.
And
You
it's
have a
so
lot-
amazing too to be able to be with someone like Michelle Wright, who has been an icon and we've looked up to our entire careers. Michelle was the first concert I ever went to, ever. When I was in grade 2 and got to see her for the first time on stage and went backstage to meet her. And I remember because they took a photo of me meeting her and put it in the newspaper. And for me, that's just a moment I'll never forget. She was so lovely then, and to know that she's not only an icon in country music, but she's also a lovely person and a lovely human and a lovely mentor to us. and our mom.
She likes to have fun too. She's not afraid to say what's on her mind, and a couple of pops helps that too.
So true.
She's wicked. Okay, so off the top, I mentioned that it's awards season, and we're actually recording this the day after the Grammys appeared last night. Did you happen to catch any of the Grammys last night?
Didn't. I saw some highlights. I saw some red carpet things and kind of read the summary, but I didn't.
Brandy, you see anything of the Grammys?
Ditto. I moonlight as a member of the Royal Canadian Navy, so I was working for the Navy last night and did not get a chance to watch the Grammys.
All right, hang on a second here. The Royal Canadian Navy, I'm going to circle that and we'll come back to it, okay?
Okay. Okay.
I have to know more about this. Okay, so back to the awards. The Country Music Alberta Awards were just announced as far as the nominations are concerned. You guys were nominated for 6 awards. And I know you've been nominated before. You've won Calgary Music Awards, Edmonton Music Awards, CCMAs as well on a national sort of scale. But let's just look at the Country Music Alberta nominations first. I'll rattle through them and you just kind of take turns or go back and forth and tell me what each one means to you, if that's okay. The Horizon Single of the Year for Things I Wish I Didn't Know.
Yeah. I am so stoked for this one. It's so, like, this one I think was really great because this is one of those songs that we wrote and it just came together so fast. We wrote it with Danik Dupel and Jimmy Thau, who are also great Canadians. And this song was one of those songs that came together, like, we almost had it written in under an hour, which, like, when it's a song like that just, it means it impacted everyone. We all really felt that song in the writing room. So to have that be, achieve the success that it did as a single, it was our second top 40 single. It went to top 40 on the Canadian country charts. And we're really proud of what we accomplished with that song.
Songwriters of the Year for Running Out of Reasons.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we always, we love writing. It's definitely like one of our biggest passions. And that's always really so much of what it comes down for the songs that you write and when you get to play them live. And so we put a lot into the songwriting and the craft of that. And we love, we wrote that song with Jared, or with Jared Hampton. He's in a band called Lanco, and with Brad Rempel from High Valley. And we absolutely love writing with those guys. I think every song we have written with them, we've been like, we're recording that. And so we ended up with 2 songs that we wrote with them on the album, and they're fantastic guys to write with. They seem to really understand us. So yeah, and there are a lot of really great songs in that category. And so to me, I'm like, I don't know how this is going to play out, but just to be recognized for it along with the other people who are also amazing writers in that category means a lot.
And you're being chosen that is truly your art. It starts with the writing of the song, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're also nominated for that song for Video of the Year, which looked like a hell of a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that music video was something that we had been talking about for quite a while, but trying to figure out how we were going to pull it together was something very interesting because it's like, we've got horses, but not in the winter. Like, we were like, how do we make this not look like winter? And so we were able to go down to Phoenix and collaborate with the folks at Kimes Ranch, and they provided the horses and location and the clothing. And it was just, I'll never forget, like, we were up getting our hair and makeup done at like 3 a.m. I had this vision for this sunrise. Could have been sunset, but I'm like, no, Brandy, it needs to be at sunrise. Because
I wanted sunset.
But I'm like, no, we're not riding off into the sunset. This is dawn of a new day. Like, so we literally need to be at dawn. And so we were getting our hair and makeup done at 3 a.m. so we could have these horses out into the wash at when sunrise was, and also because it can get so hot in Phoenix. We were outside of Scottsdale, Arizona, but man, the weather was beautiful. And running those horses, they were like these like great quarter horses. They were like amazing rodeo champion horses, and running them through the wash as the sun was rising was like something I'll never forget for the rest of my life. It was so fun to make that video. Travis Nesbitt directed it, and we love him. We have worked with him before. He's one of our favorite people, and just the team that came together to help make this happen for us, because we also had to do it on, a Nice Horse budget, which wasn't a lot. And all of these people helped us come together. And I love that music video. I'm so proud of it. And it means a lot to us to be in that category.
It really does show how different Katie and I, we're really the yin and yang of this group, because Katie is the one who wants to get up at 3 a.m. to do the shot. And I'm the Nighthawk of the band. And I'm like, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we do a night shoot? I love the idea of a night shoot.
You talk about the differences in your personalities. Katie, being up early in the morning, are you the grandma of the duo, and Brandy, are you the night owls, or is it
In
the other
different
way
ways.
around? Or-
I'm
We're the
grandma
grandma in
all
different
day
ways.
long.
No, you're
I'm up
not.
early. I'm making pies. I recently got into puzzles. I've been puzzling at night. Like, I was just like, wow, I don't know what's going on, but I just bake, I make puzzles, and I play my guitar. Grandma, and I don't mind.
I saw your pie that you posted on Instagram. What was going on with your pie?
Tell you what was happening. So I know you guys are dealing with -30. I'm dealing with about -3, but it is snowing like crazy here. And I am an Alberta girl. I know how to drive in the snow, but I couldn't convince my car of that. And so I went down yesterday. I wanted to go and help out with the horses down at the stables, and I couldn't even leave my street. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do? And I look and I'm like, my neighbors have a Jeep. What are the chances that they're going to trust me to drive it? Because a lot of people in Vancouver just don't know how to drive in the snow. We also, for the record, have the slipperiest snow. It is not the same. You don't know it until you're in it. But people give Vancouverites a bad rap. But like, I can drive in the snow, and I couldn't drive in that snow in my car yesterday. And I was willing to do it. So I see my neighbor's Jeep and I'm like, oh, I'm going to knock. So I knocked on the door and I'm like, how much do you guys trust me? And they're like, we trust you. And I was like, enough to let me take your Jeep in a snowstorm down to the stable so I can go help with the horses. And he literally just threw me the keys and said, all right, country girl, go for it. And so to thank him, when I got home, I made them a pie.
What about you, Brandy? Do you ever make people clothes? I know you're a seamstress extraordinaire. Do you make people clothes to thank them for doing favors and stuff?
Well, the funny thing is that I've made clothes for myself for, since I was a teenager. I've always loved to do it. And I also love to crochet. That's, I think, the grandma part of me. I think by the end of it, you'll realize maybe both Katie and I are grandmas. But I've only recently started up again because, we know the demands of being in the music industry are great. And I kind of came to this realization about a year ago that I wanted to get back into sewing clothes for myself because it's just another avenue of creation. And I feel like that's what fuels me and fulfills me in life, is just creating, no matter what it is, music, sewing, any of that. So I really got back into it. And I have been getting so many people asking me to sew them clothes that I'm like, it's actually starting to be a little overwhelming because I'm like, I barely have time to sew my own clothes. And now I'm getting all of these people asking me to sew for them, which is really awesome.
Maybe as a side hustle, you could be the new Bob Mackie designer for Carol Burnett.
Yeah,
and Cher
I love that.
Day.
Hey, but I know Bob Mackie because I love Cher. So
okay, I kind of got sidetracked with the two rockin' grannies here.
Please do not put a title on this podcast that's that.
Nice arts, rockin' grannies.
Actually, I might just do that now. Okay, so we went through Songwriter of the Year and Video of the Year for the Country Music Alberta Awards, the nominations. Next up, Album of the Year for Nice Horse. And this is a special one, I would imagine, for the two of you.
Yeah, I think between Songwriter and Album, I think these are probably the ones that stand out the most for Katie and I, because it is truly like they're nominations for our work and our music specifically, which is what drives us. And this album is also really special for us to be recognized because it's a long time to make. And in all honesty, we actually ended up re-recording it a number of times to get to where it was. So it was a bit of a painful journey for us, and a bit of a humbling journey in other areas, and just a real testament to perseverance. So to us, it's not only just a record full of songs that we love and believe in and stand by and mean something to us, but the whole process is something that I feel very proud that we persevered through, because it's a display of perseverance, this record for us, which I think is very aptly titled Nice Horse, because we really persevered and learned a lot about ourselves and the industry in that 4 years. I feel like having it be sort of a rebirth with a self-titled album seems really fitting for this record.
And the fact that it's the two of you on the cover and not the previous incarnation of the group, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Horizon Group or Duo of the Year to be nominated with your peers.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like every one of these categories is important and means something for a different reason. And this one, again, like, you look at those groups that are up there, and I especially was happy to see the Foxworthy ladies on that bill
Yeah.
too there on that ballot, because they are just so amazing. And I love so much, really. Last year they won the Fans Choice Award, and their speech was like the best. And seeing them kind of come
Because it was awesome.
alive from that, like, I'm not sure if I just started paying more attention because I got to know them more, or if they just sort of burst with more energy after the fact. I'm not sure which one it is, but I'm seeing them everywhere so much. And so to be in company with them and Glacier and all these acts, like it's an award that we've been really fortunate to have won before. But every time I'm like, because it represents what you did that year, and so I don't know whether we will win it or not, but just knowing, this year we were a new as a duo this year, officially. And so to still get recognized in that category when we kind of had a moment of almost starting over, it means a lot. It really does. And again, we're so grateful. Like, it really is, like, getting nominated for awards doesn't get old. It's very nice.
It doesn't get old, but it's also not the primary goal or the thing that you think of when you start putting pen to paper or start plugging away at a guitar or anything like that. So that's the other thing. It's
No,
just kind of a
absolutely not.
little bit of a cherry on top of the pie that Katie baked for her neighbor.
Yeah. It's kind of nice because you kind of get to just lift your head out of, because you're always just head down in the art. And then it's nice to be able to lift your head up and see that other people recognize and see what you're doing in the trenches, essentially. And then you're like, oh, that's lovely. It's so nice to be recognized for the work you're putting in. And then you duck your head back down and you go back into the trenches of your art. And it's great to have both pieces. It does help to motivate you when it can be a little tough in the trenches.
I think one of the attractions of the two of you, and whether it's you as a duo with your SPDSX, or if you have Ben on drums and whoever else joining you on stage, Ben Shillabeer, I know he's performed with you a bunch.
He's the best.
Yeah.
But the fun that comes off the stage, the energy that comes off the stage, is the thing that probably contributes to this next award nomination, and that's Fans Choice. You two just blow the doors off and the roof off because there's so much enthusiasm, excitement, and genuine energy coming out of the two of you when you perform. So how do you feel about the Fans Choice nomination?
I think it feels so great for you to say something like that to us, Terry, because the live show was where it all started for us. We really we've worked most of our career, really struggling to get noticed kind of at radio. We were always a little left of center because we had this very unique vibe, very unique to us. And we knew when we were not at that radio level that we're like, what we do have control of is our live show. And so our live show became the centerpiece of who Nice Horse was and is. And so that part of it is so important for us. We worked so hard because that was where we were connecting with fans. That was our opportunity, and we wanted to make the most of the opportunity we had. We didn't want to sit there twiddling our thumbs being like, oh, I hope that radio finally plays our song. We're like, what can we do to show fans who we are in this moment right now? And so that has been our prime connector to We're Fans, and we're really happy that it's resonated with people.
How has it been for the two of you transitioning from a 4-piece with Krista and Tara to a 2-piece with Brandy and Katie?
Honestly, it was one of those things that felt like, well, this could be the end of the world. And then it wasn't. It was just the start of a new one. It was kind of that. And we're really lucky that our love for Tara and Krista continues. We're lucky that it wasn't one of those negative, contentious, like, don't say their names type of breakups that also often occur. Instead, it was like a real genuine wish them all the best, and they wished us the same. And so that felt like such a relief because, again, you talking about it, we're able to talk about it so freely and with so much love and care that going forward as two, it really felt like people rallied behind us because they saw that this was actually just two members who still just really wanted to keep this thing going. And so it felt like, rather than people being like, oh, what are you going to do? People were like, there you go. You might think you fell, but you didn't. You got back up and you kept going. And so the rallying support behind us, honestly, it's like sometimes I forget that there was 4. I don't, because I have such fond memories. And we didn't have a lot of time. Like, we quickly were like, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to keep going. And so here we go. And so we were, and we had a lot of plans for the year. And so we picked ourselves up real quick and we kept going. And yeah, and it's like, I look back at the time with them really fondly, and I love the things that we did, but I'm also really proud of the things that we did last year. We did some of the biggest things of our lives last year that we'd never done before. And I'm not sure that we would have done them as 4. They made sense for 2. So I think it was like, it's just a part of like the story and the journey of our band.
Nice
And
Horse.
we worked our asses off too. It was even with that last year was a lot of work for Katie and I. And I think the thing I think that people don't realize is that even when a band split is as amicable as ours was, there's still so much of the business end that needs to change, and you need to work through, and we needed to turn over this project, making it look like there wasn't a turnover in the project, which is tough. And we worked really hard to make that happen. And we were lucky to have the support, like we said, of our departing band members who made it as easy as possible on us. And I mean, Krista still was doing our taxes, even though she was not in the band anymore. Like that sort of thing really, it was a lot of all hands on deck to make sure that this project, still was going like this, even amidst, sometimes a lot of work and a lot of heartbreak.
Reluctantly.
Today's show is brought to you by The Terry Evans Show with Pete Potipko on Edmonton's Classic Rock, K97. You can listen in the Edmonton area at 97.3 on your FM dial and online anywhere in Canada at k97.ca.
Reluctantly.
Starting out as a group of 4, what was it, 10 years ago? Was it 2015 you started?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Did you just say gross?
I said, I think so.
Oh, I thought you said gross as in 10 years ago.
Also that. No.
And then, I mean, so basically 8.5, 9 years as a foursome, and then all of a sudden the last year as the duo. Where did the 4? Well, first let's start with where did the 4 of you all come together? Was it in Calgary? Was it in BC?
Please, it was in Hawaii. We only do things fancy, Terry.
Well,
You want me to
Except
join
for
your
when we
band?
really
Take me to
don't.
Hawaii. Yeah, exactly. No, we took a girls trip to Hawaii. Like we were all just a part of different projects that were kind of naturally coming to a close. And so we took this trip to Hawaii just to write songs just for fun. Like there was no intention. I had publicly stated that I was retiring from music. I wasn't going to do it anymore. And I was working at WestJet, and, I wasn't going to. I thought maybe it's time for career change, and so this was truly just meant to be fun. And it was a lot of fun. And it was so fun that we came home with a band. And it just kind of spiraled from there. Like we got management really quick. Like we started showing it to people. We're like, hey, we got this little party band. What do you think? And they're like, you should take this seriously. Like they were like, this could really be something. And so we did. And it kind of took on a life of its own, like in all the good and not so good. Like it just kind of, it was like a little tornado.
now, Brandy, you dropped on me that you have your side hustle is the Royal Canadian Navy. And Katie, you just said you worked at WestJet. You weren't a pilot before this, were you?
No, I wasn't. And Brandy worked at WestJet too. I worked at the airport and Brandy worked on the airplane. She was a flight attendant. But yeah, no, I have no secret skill beyond the puzzling and the cooking.
Puzzling.
Listen, puzzles are really fun. I live in an apartment, right? And so just side note, I was at Granville Island and I found this little puzzle that was like the size of like a 5x7. Like it was like this big. And I was like, I should buy one of those. I bought one because it doesn't take up much room. I did it. And I bought 6 more. Once a week, I go to Granville Island. I buy these freaking puzzles and I listen to podcasts at night when I can't play any more music because my ears are tired. I listen to a podcast, which I'll eventually be listening to our episode and so many more. And I put puzzles together.
Do you get a glue stick and put them on some crepe paper or something like that so that you can hang them on the wall? Or
I basically have wallpaper at this point, actually. But no, I've been taking them apart to give them on to my other friends because I'm not the only one of my friends that does puzzles. So I've been ready to pass them on.
But when she starts gluing them together, that's when you can officially call her a grandma. That's
Yeah.
there's gonna have to be an intervention, I think.
Try one. I'll mail you one and you'll be like, you know what? This is really fun, Katie. Thanks.
Yes, I'll get it in the mail, and that's the first thing I'll think. This is really
Yes.
fun.
Listen,
You wacko.
busybody. Sitting still is just not what I do. And so I just found a way for me to like keep myself a little busy. And, I don't know. Doesn't matter.
So are they difficult puzzles with, if they're 5x7s, do they have like 500 pieces? Are they all the same color?
We're going to get a display.
Okay, hold on. Here, guys.
Okay.
I've been currently taking them apart to give to one of my friends, but they come in these little tubes like this. And then, so there's the picture. There's a Paris one. Am I working on Paris right now?
Nope.
Paris is complete, you guys. And here it is.
Yeah.
Right? I also did this one that's a unicorn.
Nice.
I also did this one that's the Big Apple. So there's a bunch of city ones. And so I'm working on a London one right now. Okay, let's stop talking about puzzles. We've done enough, but they're very fun. I don't know how many pieces these are, guys. 150. Okay, carry on. What else are you talking about? What else do we get nominated for, everybody?
Visual Creative of the Year.
Okay, which is like a puzzle to put together. So I really like how you transition that. Very good, very good.
And we need to give big props because Visual Creative is an actual, like, Bronwyn and Phil did an absolute amazing job on this album. They've both been really big supporters and have worked with us in the past, and it's really nice to get nominated. It's really nice to get nominated with people that you've worked with that you love and care about in this industry. I think that's so, because that's one of the biggest things I love about being in this industry is succeeding together with people. And so that's really special to have two people who have really supported and believed in us on the ballot for work that they have done with us. It's amazing. But it's their work. We were just there.
Yeah.
Well, and you mentioned Travis before putting together your video. I know. I've heard that name mentioned with so many different artists in Western Canada and across the country, for that matter. So, you find the talented people. I still think like the overhead shots, and like you said with the sunrise and everything in the Reasons video is just absolutely terrific.
Thank you. Yeah, Travis really got that mission. Like he's not a horse guy or anything, but he was just like, we told him what we wanted. We wrote that treatment ourselves, and he got it, and he knew what we wanted. And Travis is a go in the trenches with you kind of guy. Like he had one friend who opted to be there, but Travis was ready to do it by himself. But he really gets us. He's been with us since day one. We brought him when we did our very first tour. It was opening up for Tom Cochrane, and we brought Travis with us, and he has been by our side pretty much the entire time. So he's like a brother to us. And we're also really proud of him and all the work that he does, and any chance to bring him along somewhere. We know that he'll get the best of us.
You mentioned the opening for Tom Cochrane on your first tour. That's when I first met you at the River Cree.
That's right. I know. I can't believe that it took that long for us to then see each other again.
Yeah. Was that 2006?
I think it was 2017.
We didn't exchange numbers, Katie.
Well, we
That
should
was the problem.
have. That was our first mistake. We were like, hi, think you're great. Okay, see you in 8 years. Unacceptable.
It's also awesome, though, Terry, because you've seen us from like, that was Nice Horse as a baby band. Like you got to see us as a baby band, and then to reconnect with you, when now we're
grandmas.
Now we're a granny band. Like it's really, it's nice that it's nice to have that trajectory in our career.
And I'll tell you something, you don't know this because we haven't talked about it, but Tom and I have been good friends for many, many years. And I was introduced to all of you before you went on, and we're opening up for Tom. And I was back talking to Tom, and he says, you watch out for these girls. They're going to be something. Tom had some very nice things to say about Nice Horse.
We love him. He really, he doesn't know, if Hebert doesn't know this, like he gave a lot of credibility to our band when we were brand new. Putting us on that stage in front of him made people go, okay, I think we should listen to this. And, and it was something that Tom didn't need to do, but he did it, like he could have had anybody. And the fact that he was willing to give a chance on this band that was brand new starting out and, sort of put his stamp of approval, because he's a freaking icon, and so to have his like, I like these guys, I'll put them in front of me was a big thing for our career. And definitely, I think helped launch us for sure.
With that performance that night that I met you at the River Cree opening for Tom Cochrane, 2017. A lot has happened in between then and now. Of course, probably the biggest thing, aside from the elevation of Nice Horse as a touring band and recording, because you did your EP and then you did There Goes the Neighborhood and then the pandemic. Is my timeline right?
Yeah, there was a couple singles, but yeah, you're right. We were just that.
We released a single March 6th of 2020. It was not the best time to, in hindsight, couldn't have known then. And that was really and that was kind of, it was a dark time for all artists. It was a rough one for us.
Being the father of a professional musician, I know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
That was my son had gigs as soon as we found out that the NBA games were canceled and then the NHL games were canceled. And I was at an Oilers game when we heard about the NBA canceling games because of it.
Right.
And then my son messaged me and said
he's a drummer, right?
Yeah. Then my son messaged me and said that his gig on St. Patrick's Day was canceled. And then after that Oilers game, everything went for shit.
Yeah, and we were actually in Switzerland when that all went down. We were on tour out there and went out to. We were going out to play the show, and we said, "Is everyone sure that we should go out for this? Because things don't seem like they're gonna go well." And everyone's like, "Nope, the show's still on." We got there, we landed the next morning, the show was canceled, and we had to scrounge to make our way back to Canada because they were telling Canadians to come back, and we were actually supposed to come back through France and leave out of Paris. So which we could not do because of the situation at the borders because of the pandemic. So we scrambled to get back to Canada, and we landed in Toronto and all went our separate ways because we all lived in different places, and we went, "Okay, everyone, bye, see you in a couple weeks." And then we didn't see each other for a very long time after that.
2 weeks to flatten the curve, right?
Yeah, that's all it was going to take.
Yeah.
That was the
See you in a couple
longest
weeks.
2 weeks of my life. Yeah, it was 6 months of 2 weeks.
Any point, being in Switzerland, at any point did either one of you think, let's just stay in Switzerland? What could,
Never felt more like I was in a foreign country. I know we were, but I really felt very alone. I was like, I need to get home.
Yeah, and at the time, Switzerland had the third highest cases per capita in the world. So it was not exactly it wasn't the most fun place to be when everyone was so unsure about what was happening. So it was definitely, we definitely didn't consider staying. I mean, now I wish we would have had more time in Switzerland. Hopefully we get to go back. But it was tough for us because we were a long distance band. We got together to rehearse and play shows, but we all lived in different cities. It was challenging to and we felt like we were really on this upward trajectory when COVID hit. So, it was a bit stunting for us. But in true Nice Horse style, we were like, okay, here are the cards we've been dealt. What do we do to work through this? And that's when we started finding ways to make it work. We started a podcast of our own, and we would podcast, and we had a single come out, and we directed and edited our own music video, which ended up winning us our first Canadian Country Music Award. And we were all in our own houses. None of us had directed a video before. None of us had filmed a video before. None of us had edited a video before. And we learned all of those things and did that as a team to win our first CCMA. So I feel like it's one of those things where I wish the pandemic hadn't happened. I wish we could have just kept going and touring through that whole thing and had, because we really were experiencing this boost at the beginning of 2020. And we said to ourselves, 2020 is going to be our year. We're like, it's the year of the Nice Horse. But I'm proud that we found ways to, manage in a pretty unmanageable situation.
Have you looked at the zodiac, the astrological, the Chinese, the year of the dragon, the year of the pig, the year of the snake?
Yeah.
What year is the year of the horse?
Can't remember.
Yeah, when is it going to be? Yeah, we should figure that out. When is the year of the horse? Let's hope it's 2025.
Everybody Google at the same time. When is the year of the horse?
Oh yeah, Terry's on it.
Okay. Google at the same time. When is the Year of the Horse? Sorry, I can't search for upcoming calendar events.
What? When is the year? I'll do this the old-fashioned way. I'll just type it in.
Okay.
The horse. Every 12 years. The next one will be next year.
2026.
2026.
2026.
Okay. So 2020,
2026.
2014 and 2026. So everything happened in 2020. So
Yeah.
that was right smack dab in the middle of the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So-
true.
Yeah.
And we weren't even a band in 2014. So this will be the first year
Yeah, it's a
that
year
we've
of
had
the
a Year of
horse.
the Horse.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, 2024 seemed like the Year of the Horse, the year of Nice Horse, because a lot of great stuff happened for you. Before we get to that, though, you mentioned the podcast that you had, Shit People Say to Nice Horse. Is that what it was called?
That was something different. That was something different. Our podcast,
Yeah, it was
we've done a
fun.
lot of things, so I understand. We used to, again, when we didn't have, we were still a baby band starting out, we were just like, we would joke that we were more merch than music and we would just be idiots on the internet. And so Shit People Say to Nice Horse and Shit Nice Horse Does were two things that we did that we just filmed and put on the internet for content's sake. And we had this song out called Mansplaining and there was, some people really loved it and some people were like, oh, it's just a gimmick. And to all the people said it was just a gimmick, I was like, you've never been a lady then, clearly, and been mansplained to before, because we're telling you this isn't a gimmick. And it was actually our producer that we'd been working with, Jeff Dalziel, who we would tell him these stories about shit people would say to Nice Horse that gets said to a lot of women. And he was like, you guys need to write about that. And so through that, we had that single out, and then we would just talk about shit that people would say to us. And then our podcast was called The Road Case. And that was something that we started in 2020 during the pandemic. And that was we also had all been in different projects and different bands and had experience with different people. And so often people found our stories to be pretty entertaining. And so we were like, let's start telling people about what it's like to be in this band and the stories of what it was like that led us to be in this band. And then we would have guests on and they would tell us some of their funny stories. And yeah, it was fun. It was really a way to connect. It had started initially as this thing called Wine at 9, where it was like, again, during the pandemic. And it was actually really hard to go live because the channels were so full that we would try to go live and you couldn't get Instagram live to work. You couldn't get Facebook live to work because everybody was trying to do it in the evening. And so we were like, well, let's just do it at 9 a.m. And so it was initially supposed to be Wine at 9 at night. And then we turned it into Wine at 9 a.m. And we were just like, well, it's the pandemic, so who cares? Pour a drink. So we started drinking wine, and that's how we all became alcoholics.
And that's how we became alcoholics. You know what you should have done? You should have made up your own sort of non-alcoholic White Claw or something like that.
Should have be rich by now. Being sober is cool right now, so should have done it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
geez. So is non-smoking, but they're both super cool. Before we get to 2024, which was a huge year for Nice Horse for the both of you, is the YouTube or the podcast still available anywhere where people can go back and listen to it?
Yeah, you can find it on all the streaming platforms. It's there.
Okay. And it's Shit People Say to Nice Horse.
That's on YouTube. I don't.
Right, that's on YouTube. And then the podcast was
It's The Road Case.
The Road Case.
Yeah. Don't worry, I got you, Terry. I'm here for you.
I'm just trying to pay attention to everything.
There's a lot.
There's a lot going on.
It's a lot.
I'm
yeah.
puzzled.
Yeah, always.
Oh, I got one for you. You're going to be puzzling. I know it. I'm going to get a text from you in like a week's time. I know it. I'm waiting.
I'll bet you $1 you
He's
don't.
reluctant.
He's reluctant.
I might send you a silly meme or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be a request for the best puzzle.
Send me a puzzle. If you see a mini puzzle, send it my way. I tried to buy a big one and I literally didn't have space for it. And now I don't know what I'm going to do with it. So I'm back to mini puzzles.
You need a bigger apartment.
I do. Yes. So it starts with puzzles and pretty soon I'm like, guys, I'm moving. Why? I need a bigger table for
Yeah.
my puzzles.
Hello, Langley.
Yeah.
Reluctantly.
Today's show is brought to you by TerryEvansInc.com. That's me, specializing in voice acting and voiceover work for commercials, in-house PA, and on-hold systems, and radio station imaging. Email me, Terry@TerryEvansInc.com.
Reluctantly.
One of the things that we connected with not long ago was a meme that I saw that made me laugh out loud and immediately think of you, Brandy. Well, the two of you, because of the dynamic with the duo in Nice Horse. And it was a picture, a screenshot of text And it was just, the scenario was there was going to be some sort of gathering and people were going to be bringing instruments. And one of the bubbles said, and bring that stupid guitar with the missing string. And then the other person replies, it's called a bass, Jeff, or whatever the person's name. Yeah, that's
whatever
thing. Whatever, bring it. And it made me laugh so hard. And I thought of it relating to the two of you, Brandy, of course, because you're playing bass in Nice Horse.
Flight of the bass player.
Yeah, it would have been equally funny if somebody was referencing a banjo.
Yeah, we both play the nerdiest instruments on the planet.
Okay, so
why we
Brandy,
have to drink and smoke.
So Brandy, first you. All right, I've always said that the world needs more bass players and the world needs more bass players who are women. So how
Thank
did you?
They just don't know it.
Well, I say it all the time. Jeff Beck's bass player. Tell Wakenfield.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Incredible.
I mean, there's so many others. And I don't know. Well, you said you didn't watch the Grammys last night, but there were some women ripping off some killer solos on lead guitar last night on the Chappelle Roan song and some other stuff. So it was really cool to see. It's one of those things that I think there was a reference to it, and with, oh, the girls are here, where's your band sort of thing that you, I think I saw a quote from one of the two of you about shit that people say to Nice Horse.
Yeah.
How did you gravitate toward bass?
So I've had a long relationship with the bass guitar. I started, if we're talking about nerdy instruments, we're about to get into it. So I started, as a young child in band playing French horn. So I was a French horn player, and I still do play French horn with the Navy. But as a kid, I wanted to be in the jazz band. And so I would ask my band teacher, I'm like, well, can I play French horn in the jazz band? They're like, no French horn in the jazz band. They're like, but we need a bass player. So if you want to learn bass. So that was what I did. I was like, I want to be in the jazz band. That's how I'm going to do it. That's my gateway. And so I started playing bass when I was in grade 7 and have played it ever since. I was in indie rock bands. I was in a math rock band for a time, and then made my way to Nice Horse. And I love the bass. And you are right. It is like kind of the unsung hero. People only know the bass exists when something's going wrong with the bass, is generally what happens. But I think as a woman, I feel really, really proud at how many incredible female bass players there are out there. And I don't even think it's worth it to say that, they're not incredible as female bass players. They are incredible bass players, and they're really making a splash. There's a lot of really great ones out there. And you're right, when we started this band, people did think they'd be like, oh, here are the singers, where are the band? Like, it's that sort of stuff happened to us a lot. But at the same time, my thought process has always been, okay, if I need to be 5 times better than the next bass player to be considered as good as the next bass player, watch me do it. And then you won't have anything to say about it. And I think that's really where Nice Horse focused their energies, is we were like, okay, you think we're coming in and you assume we're just the singers? Let's show you that we're not.
Also, I don't think that, it's almost starting to feel like singers aren't getting enough credit. Singing is an incredibly hard thing to do. And I feel like people are like, oh, just singing. And it's like, just singing? Have you heard Mariah Carey? That's not just singing, There's a lot of skill that goes into singing too that I think shouldn't be downplayed if people don't play an instrument. I'm very proud to play. I play 3 and Brandy plays 3 and we sing, but I think I just sometimes when I hear that, singing, it's like, that's not really, you can't even see your instrument. You can only play it and hope it comes out right. That's also a skill that I don't think should be downplayed the way sometimes it seems like it is.
The other thing too, Brandy, you mentioned is a female bass player. How come it's never referred to as an all-male band?
I know, we say this all the time we say this. We're just there's a lot of boy bands out there. Are you kidding me? I would name them right now, but people would think it was an insult, and it's not an insult, but it's just well, yeah, you're a boy band. You could name any band. You could call the Rolling Stones a boy band if you want.
Yeah, and I think
Puzzle makers.
Yeah,
they're probably making puzzles.
I think, Katie, you're totally right. I think that being a vocalist is an important and challenging skill set all of its own, and requires a great deal of technical proficiency. I think women have not had as many barriers in that side of things, which is why we kind of experienced a bit more adversity on the player side. But we've had I remember one situation, I'll never forget it. We played a show at a festival, and after the show, the festival promoter came up to us and said, wow, you guys were really good. to be honest, I almost didn't hire you because the last all-female band we had wasn't very good. And my first thought to that was, have you ever had a bad boy band, all-female band before, or all-male band before, and not hired another all-male band ever again? Like that. Yeah. And that was something we realized early on too, that like we weren't just doing this for us. Like we represented that. Can't wait for the day that this is not the case, but we were representing other women and they were being judged by us, so we had, like, I felt a great deal. It's an honor and a responsibility because I don't want the next all-female band to not get a gig because we weren't very good. That would be crazy. I would never want that for them. And I want to see women succeed. I want to see great music succeed. And I just want to make sure that everyone has that opportunity to do so.
Yeah, and we should be judged on the same platform, and we're not. Like, again, women are held to a different standard because they're not saying, oh, that guy wasn't very good. Let's maybe have a meeting about if we should hire guys again. But guaranteed they had a meeting, but if they should ever hire a female band again, which is like, we didn't start this band to, like, we're proud of what it represents, but we honestly just started it because we were friends. We all happened to be women, like there was no intent. And again, there was no gimmick. Again, people were like, oh, it's a gimmick. We were like, oh, because we're friends and we all have vaginas, we're a gimmick. Like, talk to your bro band about that then. Are they a gimmick? But again, they don't get held to that same potential stereotype or standard or whatever you want to call it that we get held to.
Not very many people in the world can say they know somebody who plays the banjo. Katie, you big weenie, how'd you get into the banjo?
Kermit the Frog, guys.
Yeah, was it really?
No, honestly, I'd had one too many Mai Tais in Hawaii, and we were like, hey, we need a banjo in this band. And I was like, yeah, I've always wanted to play the banjo. I do love the banjo a lot. But after a few Mai Tais, I said, I'll learn to play it. And then they all held me to it. And so I learned how to play it for this band, which again was just like put my head down and figure it out, start taking lessons. And like, not a lot of people play it, which I think is like it can be kind of frustrating because when we're in the studio and I'm like, guys, what should I do with this? They're like, I don't know. What should you do with it? And I'm like, there's never a banjo player around the way there's often, a drummer producer, a bass or guitar producer, somebody who can kind of be like, what do you think of this? I'm always kind of like off on this little island of like, you play the banjo, right? And I'm like, give me a second. Let me look on the internet. But I do love it. It's one of those, it's a passion thing. And what was really cool though, is that during the pandemic, we've kind of referenced that, but Ashley Campbell is a really incredible banjo player, Glenn Campbell's daughter. And she had posted online that she was just like, I was thinking about giving lessons if anybody's interested during the pandemic. And so I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I would take a lesson. And so her and I like FaceTimed and I got tips from her. And that was really cool. And something that came of the pandemic was actually getting to sit like across the computer screen with her and try to learn some tips and tricks. But yeah, it's a good talking point and I do really like it, but yeah.
Katie, I feel like, I should say something here. I feel like Katie's banjo playing is more than a talking point.
I think it's a talking point. It really is.
But I think the fact this is like, I've been playing bass since I was 11, but Katie picked up the banjo as a result of us being friends and starting a band. And 7 years later, she was nominated for a CCMA and Specialty Instrument of the Year. I think that's pretty notable, and I think that is more than a talking point, even though I just talked about it.
I think it's amazing. And
well, thank you.
You say you're recording a song, and you say, well, I don't know, what should I be doing here? It's like, I don't know, you're the weirdo with the drum with strings.
I know, they're like, this is your instrument, man. You figure it out. And I'm like, fuck, okay.
Have you ever listened to any of Steve Martin's banjo?
Of course I have. I do. Yeah. And people bring him up a lot. And he's amazing. And that's the thing is, like, I can't say that I was heavily influenced by certain banjo players growing up. That wasn't the case for me. And so I discovered some later on. But Steve Martin always stood out to me as just that person. You're like, I know that he plays the banjo and he is really good. Like, again, it's not a talking point for him. Like, he's a machine with that thing. It's pretty cool and it's fun. I really love it. They're yes, I'm proud of it. I'm not sure what else to say.
Very good. And you kill it. And the songs where it's featured, I mean, obviously you can see it in the videos, but when it comes up in your songs, like, I mean, it's just like, oh, bam, it's the perfect place for a banjo.
Oh,
And
thank you.
so it sounds great.
Thank you.
Okay. So the year 2024 was a big one for you guys. You both hit so many main stages. Was it more than you'd done prior to that?
Yes.
Was 2024 a big year for that?
Yeah, it was a lot of festivals that some had invited us for the first time straight to the main stage, which was really nice. Like Sunfest was one of them that we'd never played before, and the invite was straight to the main stage, which was really cool. And then we had some festivals that we had started on their smaller stages, like Cavendish and Country Thunder, and this was the like come and play our main stage, which was really cool. And yeah, those stages are fun to play.
BVJ this year too, and in 2025.
Yeah, and that's another example of one where we played the saloon stage. We've played a number of years on the saloon stage, and this is our first time graduating to the main stage, which is really special because, I mean, Katie and I both grew up in Alberta, and BVJ is a huge part of the country music fabric in Alberta. And so that's a really meaningful main stage for us to be on.
Then you ended up on television, which you probably didn't expect, with the CBC series Wildcards.
Yeah, that was a really cool experience. It stemmed from a part of me kind of thinks that it's like country music is so hot right now, and so it's finding its way into more TV shows. But we're really lucky to have some people who had their eye on us putting our songs in TV shows. And then this opportunity came up that they needed a country band. And one of our friends was like, I think this would be the perfect country band. And he mentioned it to the music supervisor. And she was like, I agree, this would be the perfect country band. And then pretty soon we knew it. And then there we were. And we're in it for a long time. 7 minutes, Terry. I timed it. I was like, that's a lot of screen time. I can't believe it. It's pretty cool.
Wasn't there like 4 or 5 songs in the one episode?
Yeah, there were 5. 2 of them were covers and 3 of them were ours.
Yeah, you did Drive by the Cars.
Mm-hmm. Any Man of Mine.
That's right. Like, do you need special permission to do a cover song for television? Like, did you have to contact the estate of Benjamin Orr or Rick Kasich or whatever?
It was
so
up to
we
the TV
didn't,
show,
but they did.
Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and they really wanted that song. It was really important to them. They Drive was a special song for them, and they worked very hard to get it because it did take a long time to come through, and it actually was kind of in the last hour that it did come through for them, that they got the approval for us to record that cover. So it all happened very quickly, like from the time that they got approval to us recording, getting into the studio, recording it, to us filming the episode. It was very short time.
How did you feel about your acting abilities in the 2 shows?
I think we did a great job. Don't you think? I watched it and I was like, I believe it. They look like
Tara's being really quiet right now.
Well,
Did you watch it?
here's the thing.
What, Terry?
After seeing this, I thought, well, this is a perfect opportunity for Katie and Brandy to branch out. You two could be the new Laverne and Shirley. You could be the new Hagney and Lacey. Or if the 3 of us did it, we could do a new Three's Company.
See? So you did
I love
like
it.
I'll be Jack Nipper, Janet and Chrissy. There you go. It's a Three's Company.
Great.
We'll find some other old person that does puzzles with Katie that can be Mr. Furley from downstairs.
Perfect. I will tell you, here's the thing that I learned about that, because I've done, like, we did another TV show that will be coming out at some point. And then I've done a couple of, I write songs for Hallmark movies sometimes. And then I was also a good acoustic guitar player in a Hallmark movie sometime. And so in all of those experiences, this is what I learned the difference is. I know there's many differences between actors and actresses and musicians, but what I really learned was that our entire job as musicians is creating vibe. Like, we can change the mood in a room just by singing or strumming or playing. Like, that's our entire job, is be the party band or be the, give us some feeling, make it romantic. And actors, their entire job is to pretend there's vibe, and there is no vibe. And so it was so interesting being on set, watching all these people pretend that there's vibe, and then us being like, now we have to pretend that we're giving you the vibe, which normally our whole lives we spend actually providing. So it was, to me, I found it like, I was like, No wonder they get paid so much money, because it's very hard to pretend there's vibe. That's what I learned.
One of the other things that happened in 2024 was not only the Clayton Bellamy Foundation out in Bonnyville, they also pegged you for the Jasper Wildfire benefit concert, which was a huge success and raised lots of money. But it was the thing that happened the week before that, or the week of that.
The day before it. It was so the day before we went to do the Jasper Wildfire concert, we went to our storage space where all our gear is kept to get it and drive up to Edmonton for the show. And when I went to our storage space in the storage facility, I went to unlock the lock, and the whole locking mechanism in the door fell out in my hand, and I knew something was wrong. Opened up the door, and our storage space was completely cleaned out. We had almost $50,000 worth of gear stolen, including everything we needed to play the Jasper Wildfire charity show the next day. So it was pretty awful.
The good thing, like a lot of times something awful happens, which ends up being something amazing. And that is the case with this, because you two got all of your gear back, and there was a huge groundswell of community support on many different levels. Many different agencies came together, and did you get every piece of gear back?
So mostly. So it was amazing how people jumped to support us in so many ways. Like, there were people reaching out just to show their support and their love for us, and that shared what was going on. Like, I don't think there was a musician in Canada that didn't know we had our stuff stolen. And even like,
we went viral in a way that we didn't expect or want. You're like, you really want my gear to get stolen for us to go viral? But people were talking about, well, I think you mentioned it as well, like people across radio stations, online. Like, my parents were in a restaurant and heard some people talking about us, being like, "Do you hear that band got their gear back?" And my parents like, "Oh, that's my daughter." Like, It was, that story spread like wildfire, and we definitely learned that most people are good. Most people are good.
And last week, I even had someone recognize me as the person from the band who got their stuff stolen. Like, it really did spread, and there were lots of media outlets, you included, came to help us and spread the word, which was absolutely amazing. And I will say, as this is not the first time in my career as an artist that I have had gear stolen. This has happened multiple times to me while on tour. Like, it just happens. If you're a musician, fortunately, a touring musician kind of has a target on their back for theft. And it's unfortunate because often we don't have a lot of money in the first place. But this was the first time that I had the Calgary Police Service was incredible. The responding officers were with me for 8 hours that night until 3:30 in the morning, trying to track down our stuff. The theft team was amazing for the Calgary Police Service. They kept me up to date, like, daily. I was getting multiple phone calls from them. And in the end, they ended up recovering most of our stuff. There was some damages, some things still missing. But overall, considering how much was stolen, we practically got everything back in good condition. And it was really lovely to have that support while we went through a pretty dark time. It was pretty rough. Like, it was tough to deal with. And in the end, I will say, artists, put air tags in your gear. That is really literally one of the biggest saving graces that we had, was that they did not get all of the air tags. They missed one, and that was what saved our gear. And they found not just our stuff, but they found other people's stuff that had been stolen.
Wow.
When they recovered our stuff. So we weren't the only people to get our stuff back after that, which was really nice. It was really nice to know that we brought down the theft ring.
Yeah, Nice Horse brings down theft crime ring. Didn't expect that in our bio, but it's pretty much at the top.
You get on your horse and get off my land.
You do that very well, Terry.
Okay, I know the two of you have lives to get back to, puzzles to put together, French horns to blow for the Navy, and horses to ride and whatnot. But I wanted to just to wrap up on one thing. Your Jim, Jack, Johnny, and Jose video. Is that Brett Forte? That's Brett Forte, isn't it?
Yeah, Brett really put up with a lot at that video shoot, Terry.
I thought that I watched that video. I'd heard the song a bunch of times, but I'd never seen the video. And I watched the video literally 5 minutes before you two hooked up on the podcast.
No
And
way.
I burst out laughing. I mean, the licking of the milk and the cat and everything, Katie. I mean, that is just very peculiar, you crazy old cat lady.
Once again.
But if there was an Oscar for her performance in that video, the hot dog eating contest, Brandy, was outstanding and A1. So
Thank
that
you.
was-
I mean, thank you. More? Question mark? Those are really, truly kind of, they might be hyperbolized versions of ourselves, but it's kind of us. Like, that is us. Like, Katie is a crazy cat lady. And I am a very fast eater, and I also love hot dogs. So, like, all of these things, those were truly caricatures of what Brett Forte probably would have encountered from us on a date with us. Poor Brett.
And now it's there for everybody to see. Katie 46 on Tinder.
How about that? I know. I was like, wait.
Well, everybody can go and watch Jim, Jack, Johnny, and Jose, the video, and Running Out of Reasons and things I wish
For
I
our
didn't
more
know.
serious side.
Yes, and the other thing I was going to ask is whose old Chev truck that was in the Reasons video, but obviously it was down in Phoenix because I would have wanted you to take me for a ride in that truck. I love that truck.
Hey, we can still arrange that. That's a friend down in Arizona. So just
All
have
right.
to come to Arizona with us, Terry. We'll take
Well,
you
and
for
I'm
a
going to have
drive.
to I'm gonna get on a horse again. Last
You
time
will.
I got on a horse, I fell off.
No.
You gotta get
you
back
in
on,
the
Terry.
saddle.
I'll have to get some fancy jeans.
Yep.
You will. We'll hook you up with that too.
Okay. Actually, I know I want to let you go because I know you're busy, but just one last thing. Singing the national anthem for the Seahawks game in front of all those people and God knows how many people watching on television. How great was that?
Yeah, I mean, that was our second one because we also did the MLB All-Star game
That's right.
in Texas. And the crazy thing about that one, you know what? They were both crazy because the MLB one happened first, but they told us very specifically that it wouldn't be on television. And for me personally, I was like, thank God, because it's too nerve-wracking to think about all those people watching at home. And so we were told very specifically, not on TV. And we were like, great. And then we did
So
the
Katie was
run-through.
like, great. I was like, oh, I want my mom to see.
Yeah, well, mom got her wish because then they ended up changing their mind at the last minute and didn't tell us, and they put it on TV, and we didn't know until we started getting all these text messages of people going, holy shit, guys. And we were like, sorry, what? Were you here? Are you here? Where are you? And instead, they'd seen it on TV. And then we got the call to do the Seahawks one, which also, like, I couldn't believe the amount of mileage we got off of that. Like, the people who were so excited to see us be in front of the Seahawks. And again, that one actually wasn't on television. I'd heard a few people said that there was a little clip of it here and there, but they didn't televise the whole thing they did with MLB. But the amount of people who were so excited for us, like, I don't watch a lot of sports, so I didn't realize how, I knew it was big and I was very, very excited, but I didn't quite realize how big of a deal people felt that was. And how big it felt when we were doing it. Like that, it brought a tear to my eye. Like I was like, oh, wow, we're representing our country right now for all these people. And it was, yeah, those were both, I mean, that's the biggest audience. I've never sang for 70,000 people before, you know? So that was a big deal.
Good for you. Good for you both. Nicehorsemusic.com. Brandy, Katie, it was a real treat having you here today.
Thanks,
so
Terry.
much,
We love you.
Yeah, you're a treat too.
Reluctantly.
Today's show is brought to you by NiceHorseMusic.com. Nice Horse featuring Katie Rocks and Brandy Sidorik. You can check them out on their website, find out where they're going to be playing live, buy some merch, check out their videos, and buy their music. NiceHorseMusic.com.
Reluctantly.